Okay, welcome back, Patreon listeners. We are here this morning, Coffee with Coaches. We have Gayville Volin head coach Amy Westrom here. The Raiders are currently 11-1 with a big match tonight at Bridgewater Emory. Coach, thanks so much for taking the time today. And right off the bat, will you just give us kind of an overview on your season so far?
Sure, yeah. Thanks for inviting me. We started off, pretty hot. We went 10-0 and with a little bit of a break in there with some illness, but we're back at it, and we're I feel like looking pretty strong again. And we had a real tough match with Freeman early in the year and saw some great things out of the girls, and they played a tough Scotland team, and we saw some good things there, and I'm just really hoping that when we step out tonight against BE, we can get back into the groove and we finish tough.
Yeah, and like you said, you kind of really took over at the beginning of the year, winning 10 matches in a row and only losing really 3 sets before that loss to Bon Home.
Mm-hmm.
That should give you guys a ton of confidence, but how do you kind of talk about using that confidence to really finish out the year strong?
Well, we really just kind of try to take away something from each match, and a lot of times we'll sit down and have conversations with the team afterwards, either on the bus or the next day at practice, and I usually try to have them tell me something that they think that they did really well individually, tell me something that they think maybe individually they can improve on, and then we talk as a team about what we saw out there that we thought we did a good job with, and then maybe something as a team we could improve on. And the one thing that I really try to impress upon the girls is just overall energy and just being loud and getting excited and having fun while they're out there. And honestly, that's the toughest thing for them sometimes. Mm-hmm. We're really working on that, and I have some girls that are really trying to push the team to do that as a team, and that's really kind of what we're pushing for, and that's what we've been working on, and hopefully that'll come out in these last few games. We play so much better when we're excited and when we're having fun, and when when they're into it and they're smiling and they're laughing and they're jumping around, and so really honestly that's kind of what we're trying to really push at the end of the season here.
Yeah, fake it till you make it, right?
Yeah.
But you guys kind of have a good mix of upperclassmen, to underclassmen. How does that dynamic affect or kind of help you this year?
It's kind of a crazy situation here at Gayville Volleyball. I have eight high school girls out for volleyball total.
Wow.
So, and it's our numbers are always pretty low as far as the high school, just the actual high school students. We just really don't have a lot of high school kids that are involved in activities, and the ones that are the ones that are involved in everything. And so we have a lot of the young girls that they're just used to stepping up, and they're used to interacting with these older girls. The older girls this group of upperclassmen that I have right now are just awesome with the younger girls. They take them under their wing, and they treat them like, you would never know that I've got 7th and 8th graders playing with seniors. They don't, it doesn't come across that way at all, ever. Which is awesome, because it's almost like I have, 5 assistant coaches out there on the court, because they know what I would say before I say it. So a lot of times I don't even have to say it. They'll pull the younger ones aside and be like, hey, you need to do this, or hey, like, you got it, you're all right, keep your head up, whatever. It's just an awesome dynamic.
Yeah. And with such low numbers, I guess, does that make your team, that much closer? I guess that's the first thing that popped into my head, is just kind of less people, less going on, maybe less problems arise, or you guys have a pretty tight-knit group?
We do. I really try to enforce, I don't want to say it that way, but I really try to just remind them that like, we're not just a team, we're a family out there, and we need to take care of each other, and we need to when we're on the court, even off the court in school, like just make sure everybody's doing okay. We get to spend a lot of time together, which is awesome. I actually feel like I get a lot more time to do individual type of stuff with the kids because there's not so many of them. I just, I do think there's some advantages to the small group. Obviously, it would be great to be able to have a little bit more competition for some of the positions on the court. But honestly, that hasn't been an issue. I have a great group of girls, and they all work extremely hard, and they all want to be out there. But there is some advantages to the numbers, but there's also it's tough to put together a competitive practice. When you have 8 girls that are in high school and the rest of them I'm pulling up from the junior high, and but they do a great job, and those girls, and I feel like the younger girls really benefit from being able to come up and practice with us. I know I have a set of twins that they're 6th graders this year, and they cannot wait to be able to come up and practice with the older girls. They're so excited about it. I think it's just kind of like it's just fun for them. It's fun to get, and I think it really builds that love of the sport. Like when they get in there and they get to play at a high level, and they see how much the older girls enjoy it, and the older girls are such role models for these younger girls. It's a cool dynamic. It's something that I never experienced on my own when I was younger. I went to not a huge school, but a bigger school. And it's kind of cool to see how they all interact and work with each other, and really treat each other more than just a team. It is more like a family around here.
Nice, yeah. And as we talk about, some of the individual athletes, I know we've talked a lot about, the defense from Keley Larson after having her this summer at our Future 50, but will you kind of tell us about some of the other athletes that are playing a bigger role this year?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you mentioned Molly. Molly's actually been playing, she's been on the court for varsity since she was a 7th grader. And she's got to be close to her 2,000th dig. She got her 1,000th dig last year as a sophomore. And last time I checked, I think she was around 1,900, maybe 1,800. So Molly is a rock on the team. I mean, she's consistent. She always shows up. She's a communicator. There is not a ball out there that she's not going to try to touch, it's awesome to have her on the court and in the back row with those other kids. I've got Sam Olson is my middle hitter, one of my middles. She's also been playing for me for 3 years now, and she's really come around this year as a senior. She's just a smart player. She sees the open spots. She'll hit one way get the defense to shift, and then she starts tipping, and then she'll hit the other corner. She's just really smart out there.
Yeah.
And then I've got Caleb and Oslo, my other senior. She's my outside. She's all of 5'4", but she is one of the most athletic people I think I've ever coached. She does things that I honestly don't know how she gets them to work, but they work. And she's also so smart with the ball. She'll find, she can put it anywhere. She's the one player that I've never had a player that I can yell out a spot as she's going up to hit the ball, and she'll hit it.
Nice.
Yeah, it's crazy to see what she can do. And then we have another outside, Jaden Hubbard, and she is a junior, and she's really stepped up this year. She's hitting the ball hard. She's consistent, and she's just a fun player to watch. And then my new 8th grader, Ayla Dimmer, she's just this tiny little string bean of a player, but she will do anything I ask her to do, and she never stops. Like, she goes home from volleyball practice and she plays volleyball. All summer long, she's outside. She's constantly has a volleyball in her hands, and it's awesome to see that. And she's bringing her group of middle schoolers. They're seeing this, and I'm really excited to see what they all do in the future.
Yeah, awesome. We just love hearing about all those individual athletes and,
Oh,
and
I
each of their
forgot my
stories.
setter. I forgot Keley.
Yeah, throw her in there.
I can't forget Keley. So Keley Larson is my freshman setter. She actually set for us last year as an 8th grader as well. And the one thing I have just she got her 1,000th assist a few weeks ago. She's consistent. But the one thing that I just can't get over is how hard she worked to improve her defense over the summer. I know she went to your Rising Stars camp.
Yep.
And she absolutely had wonderful things to say about that. And
Awesome.
she's just everywhere. She has the mentality of I can get to every single ball. And when she plays that way, it's so fun to watch.
Yeah, awesome. Well, great to hear she had a good time. But actually, kind of going off that, what does your guys' off season look like? I know this year was kind of crazy starting this spring, but do you guys typically do a lot during the spring? Were you able to do a lot during, that initial shutdown phase, at least over Zoom or talking to your girls?
This year was crazy. We didn't actually get to do anything with face-to-face until June. What I did with the girls is I actually set up a Google Doc, and I asked them to log their time every day. Like I just want to know how long you had a volleyball in your hands. And so we had all summer long and up until the first day of practice, I had girls logging their time, and then I had a prize for the girl who logged the most minutes. And I have some really competitive people on the team. Yep. And so it worked really well because they would see like, oh, someone else was outside or someone logged 2 hours, and they're like, oh my gosh, I got to get out there and I got to touch the ball. And so that at least got them touching the ball when they couldn't. It's so hard, and it's so hard with volleyball, I think, as opposed to some other sports. Like, everybody has a basketball hoop in their driveway, right? Or like at least almost everybody. But to get the girls not only to have a volleyball at their house, but then on like the net, and it's really hard to have any sort of virtual practice, but I thought the girls did a great job of staying active. And then we were able to, I actually put a sand volleyball court at my house.
Oh, awesome.
And so once we were able to gather, which was after June, and we went through the first 2 weeks of like no shared equipment and all of that, we were able to play at my house. So we had some open gyms out there in the sand, and I think the girls had a great time with that. And then once we could get into the gym, we were here at least once a week, sometimes twice a week. With the limited numbers, it was hard to see everybody as much as we normally do, because normally it's twice a week for a few hours. They're in the gym, and these girls, they show up. If you ask them to be in the gym, they're going to be in the gym. So it was a tough summer, and I know they missed it. They were excited to be back, and they all are just really thankful that we've been able to play this long, and really hopeful that we can make it through the rest of the season. But it was tough for them and for us, but we made it, and I feel like we didn't lose a ton of time together. Maybe physical time, but we still kept in touch, and they sent me pictures, and so.
Yeah, and volleyball is just one of those hard sports where you can't, and there's just not much you can do by yourself other than, I think when I was growing up, my dad got me this like Velcroed harness thing that I would try to, just swing the ball and it would come right back at me. But that lasted for about, 2 weeks. And then of course it stretched out and just doesn't work anymore. But
yeah, we tried to get creative, and I know there's probably some garage doors that have some vents in them that weren't there before. But, what can you do? And luckily there are some siblings on the team, so they did have somebody to play volleyball with. And then obviously I've had some older siblings that have gone through and graduated, and maybe we're back at home. And I mean, so there were some people that were able to do, some more realistic stuff, but it was definitely tough.
Yeah. And I guess moving forward, you guys have, like we said earlier, a big match tonight at Bridgewater Emory, in a big couple weeks to kind of round out the season. What do your Raiders need to do to be successful these next few weeks? And what are you kind of looking to get out of the next couple games to prep for the postseason?
I think actually I'm really thankful that we end with a big group of just tough games. I think it's going to really set up well for the postseason. We had kind of a stretch there where we were playing some teams that maybe were a little down this year, and it's really hard to see what you're capable of as a team. When you're not able to play, well, it's just not the same when it's really high level volleyball. And I feel like tonight we'll get to see that, and then we have Burke next week, we have Coleman Egan next week, and then we round it out with Vermilion, up Prince Jefferson, and Avon. So I mean, we've got a lot of really good competition, and I just think it's going to help the girls see what they're capable of, and remember how it feels to play like the games that we had against Freeman and Scotland, where it's easy to be pumped up, it's easy to be excited, you're having fun, you're hitting the ball, making great plays, and it's fun to watch. And I'm just really thankful that we're able to end our season with lots of really good competition. I think it's going to be great for the girls. I hope we can get some wins out of it, and build some confidence going into the postseason, and see what we can do after October.
Yeah, of course. And thanks so much again, Coach, for taking the time today. I know it's kind of getting down to crunch time, and you're very busy, but of course, thanks again, and good luck tonight.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for inviting me, and thank you very much.
All right, Patreon listeners, we are back here again this morning with another coffee and another coach. We have head coach for the Watertown Arrows, Rosemary Bellum, coming off of a AA state championship run just last season in 2019, and continuing the tradition of success as one of the top AA programs. Right now sitting at 11-2 overall. Coach, thanks for joining us today. And will you just start off by giving us an overview on how your season is going so far?
Well, so far the season, is going well. I wasn't quite sure how the season would actually go, just because, last year we graduated 7 seniors, and only a couple of girls had actually, we had Maggie as a regular starter, and then after that you don't, and Jaden Hofteaser too, but in a different, role that she would normally have played. So, you have all of these new seniors that are taking in these roles and huge shoes to fill. I knew they had the athletic talent. We're a little bit shorter, but I just didn't know what their mental strength was going to be. How were they going to be able to handle experiences out on the court? And they've done really a nice job so far.
Yeah, and going off that, one thing we always see and talk about with your team is almost a business-like on the court attitude. Is that something that you talk to them about? Or how are they able to kind of stay focused and appear so prepared, match in and match out?
No, it's not like we have sessions where we, have a book study on how to stay focused. This particular group of girls, they for the most part, they sat kind of in a JV role for the last 2 years behind that group ahead of them, and they got beat on day in and day out by this group, and they held their own. I mean, they're a very competitive group of girls too, and so they just were never good with losing, and so to lose to their own classmates, which they never were bitter about, but it made them tougher, when you have to go against some of the best players in the state. The other thing that I think with this team is they have such great team chemistry. They just really are genuinely happy for each other. Never anyone that's just upset about who got more sets tonight and who ended up being the dig leader. They all celebrate each other's victories.
Yeah, and does that kind of create a sort of, I guess you kind of just touched on it there with the team chemistry, but togetherness? Because you got a huge group of seniors again this year playing a big role on the team, but are they, I guess, more bonded just because, they all kind of feel like it's now their time, and almost that senior year is bigger to them almost in a way?
Well, I would say, yeah, they've always been a group. These 8 girls in particular they've played together for quite a long time. I mean, you had a parent that put them together in 3rd or 4th grade and, put together a JO, like a little JO team, and took them to some tournaments. And so they've played together. They definitely dwindled down. They used to be, like 14 girls, and now they're down to 8. But they themselves they're actually a very strong group of friends as a group whole. So last year, you had a couple friends here and a couple friends there, but they weren't really a bonded, outside of volleyball group friend group. This group is. They do a lot of things together all the time, and so they're really like sisters, but they get along really well.
Yeah. Nice. I always love to hear those stories about, kids growing up together and kind of coming together their senior year, like they've been playing for, 6 or 7 years already together. So that's fun to hear. But last year you guys spent the majority of the season, and actually the whole season, either at the number 1 or number 2 spot. This year you're still towards the top. So don't get me wrong, you're still, one of the top teams in the state at this point, and you got a target on your back. But you've been tested this fall, maybe more so than last season. You've played 3 very close 5-set matches already. How do you kind of use that as more of a confidence booster, and really an experience booster as we near kind of the postseason play?
Yeah, and that was the one thing I talked about, was that experience. I just wanted to, you just don't know how mentally tough they're going to be. And so, going into a couple 5-set matches, with 2 with Washington, 1 with Abergay, just really talented teams you're playing against. And, how are you going to handle that pressure? They've done a nice job. I was hoping this year you would fly under the radar a little bit, but, after you go out and you beat, Washington in your second match, it's like, well, the target's already put on the back. And so people know about you, but I also feel like we've kind of built a culture up here in Watertown for the last couple of years about just expecting, to go out on the court and knowing that opponent has to play a really tough team, a team that skills usually do really well, they're just almost, we have a leg up, where in years past, maybe that's not a where we are always the ones that were kind of fearful going on the court, having to go play the big Sioux Falls schools or the Rapid City schools. And now other teams are like, oh man, we have to play Watertown tonight. So, so building that history has also helped the girls and their confidence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the thing about AA is that you have to play, you have to beat every team more than once to really make it far, especially in the postseason. So are you guys a team that will go over a scouting report and take notes and make adjustments to specific players? Or are you more of a team that will kind of approach each match and make in-match decisions in that way?
Well, one thing is I always play the first half of the season, and we have our own film. I might ask for some scout film from other coaches, but I always just worry about our side of the court. What do we need to improve about ourselves? How can we receive the ball better on a serve? How do we attack the ball? Whatever it is that we're lacking, those are the drills that we focus on for our individual skills. The second half of the season, when we're starting to see teams for a second time, we go back and review film. I look at it and break it down, and I look at every rotation and what their tendencies are. And then I also ask the girls, we watch in my room for a little bit, after school, right before practice, but I also ask the girls to watch too and take their own notes. And so they do a nice job of that, usually, especially the seniors will do it. They've done it in the last couple of years. So I do break down. I always tell, especially when I get interviewed for the paper and the radio, I talk about we have to take care of ourselves first. Mm-hmm. But then when we're starting to see teams the second time, what is it that they're doing to be successful, and how can we prevent that? And so yes, we do look at film, and then we try to look at different teams and who their go-to people are, who performed really well, and how do we keep the ball out of their hands.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. I mean, everyone wants to be so, nitpicky about film and making adjustments to the other team. But you're right. If you don't take care of your own side of the net, you can know exactly where the other team's going, and it doesn't really matter. But, going back to your team, with the maturity of your team, obviously you have a huge group of seniors that play a huge role. But they all play different roles. throughout the years. Can you kind of talk about what they bring to your team as individuals?
And that's the other thing, too, is we're trying to create some utility players, players that learn different spots, because I always feel if you can know not just your one spot, but if you know 6 different spots, that makes you that much stronger of a player, and how to cover and how to react and where you're supposed to be on the court. So you look at Maggie and Jaden, and, those two in particular last year. Maggie was an outside hitter for us. Her sophomore year, she was a right side blocker hitter for us, and now she's a middle. So she's played all 3 positions on the varsity. And so she knows how to hit in all 3 of those positions, how to turn her shoulder, how to where to block, those kinds of things. And then you look at Jaden, who I think last year was just, for her at first, I think she almost was upset about having to just play a defense position and not a hitter. And so I really tasked her to play, that right back position, especially when teams start to try to take out a setter or try to attack a right side. She played, and I think she gained immeasurable knowledge on how to play good defense, because she didn't have to focus on the hitting portion. And so I think it just has made her an all-around much better player, because now she plays great on the left side for us, and she plays front row. And that was something that she talked to me about last year, about how she said, "Coach, I'm not a defensive player. I'm not good at this spot." And I said, "Well, you're going to be good, or I have to find somebody else." And she stepped up. So I think those things are good. We try to do that at the JV and varsity level. We put them in different spots, just so that they're learning different rotations to be, because and especially in a year like this with COVID, you never know. I mean, we do blocking drills, and I put my DSs in there, because I tell Ann and Abby, I go, you never know when you are going to be asked to play a position because somebody's out, and you're going to have to play it.
Yeah, and then there's the sub situation. You never know when you're going to run out of subs. You might have to keep a DS in there in the front row. I've been part of that happening before.
Yeah, last year we got caught a couple times doing that. Megan Hagelin's like, "What, I have to play back row?" "Yeah, Megan, get back there and serve." So
hasn't served in a month, so it's good to have them all work on different things. And so does the position switching kind of go back to kind of trying to puzzle piece the best team together you can, or in practice one day, do you just say, "Hey, Jaden, go play left back. I just want to see what you can do," and she performs well? How do you go about the position switches, I guess? So like last year and in the years in the past, it's looking for the person that you feel has the strongest skill to put in that position. So you're right. Like, it's something that you've not been trained to do, that primarily you've been an outside, and now I'm going to ask you to play that right back position. Or, with Maggie, she was an extremely strong outside hitter, but she's a strong hitter in general. And when we lost, I lost 3 6-footers, I have to have somebody, especially as a middle blocker. I'm like, well, Maggie's our tallest and probably most efficient blocker. I have to put her back in the middle. I have to have the person who's going to touch the ball the most for us. So I know that she would rather be an outside, but she definitely has accepted the role for the team. And that's the thing about these girls, is they are role players. They're willing to play a spot that they might not, that's not what their dream role is, but they want to win and they want to do what's best for the team. And you know what? They might be upset with it, but I don't see it. They don't complain, and they do their job. So I look for how the team is going to look best versus how I can showcase an individual. Yeah, that's awesome. I think the fact that they're able to deal with that and really embrace those roles is a testament on how you've built this program and just how positive atmosphere and culture that you guys have there. So that's awesome to hear. But last thing before you go, can you just tell us kind of what you guys have in the coming weeks? I know we talked a little bit before, we started recording, but a big couple weeks here coming up.
Yeah, we're going to have a tough opponent with Huron on Tuesday. We'll go down to Huron and play down in the arena. They're good. They're always good. Coach Budenhagen has, the saltiest defense that you go up against, and so that team can be frustrating because you can't find anything. They serve aggressive, which is one of our weaknesses, so it'll be a tough match. Then next weekend, we'll end up going, as of right now, that East-West tournament is still on. We'll play 5 matches in 2 days against all of the 5 West River AA schools. So, and then we'll come back the following week, and one of our games is rescheduled, so we actually play Brandon Valley on October 27th. Then we play Brandon Valley at home on October 30th, and then we finish our week with some tough matches against Mitchell, O'Gorman, number 1. That'll be a fun game, and then end with Mitchell on the 7th of November.
Yeah, hoping maybe we can get into that O'Gorman match, just seeing how fan situations are at that point. But Coach, thanks again for taking the time today. I know it's, getting down to the end of the season. You guys are super busy, got a lot on your plate. But again, thanks again for taking the time, and good luck with the rest of your season.
Oh, you're welcome, and thank you.
All right. Hey, everybody. We're back again with our third coach of the week, and again, Coffee with Coaches segment. And this coach is feeling pretty good today. A huge win for his program last night, and we're here talking with Jordan Opp, Hitchcock Tulare Patriots. And Coach, thank you for joining us on your day off.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, bud. It's great talking to you. And first of all, before we break down the team, talk about the win last night, Ipswich. We touched earlier in the year. You guys got off to a hot start. We thought it was a quality win against Castlewood. And we talked about your program needing maybe that signature win, a big-time win to give them momentum, get them over the hump. I would think last night's win could count as that, right?
I think back into our program's history, and I told my assistant coach this is probably one of the biggest wins we've had.
Yep.
Obviously, Ipswich was ranked in the top 5, the last poll here that came out, and I do remember back maybe a few years ago when we went down to the Pentagon tournament, we took Bonholm out of beat Bonholm in the tournament, and at that time they were ranked in the top 5 in Class A. But this rate's right up there with that one.
Well, and talk about, because your program, I know not last year, kind of riddled with some injuries, and been in that, up in that northeast corner where there's some great volleyball, and we talk about it all the time, but making steps as a program, what does a win like last night do for a program and then for this year's team?
Obviously going after last year, after our loss in the region, I know the girls are not very happy with how the year ended. Right. And so going into the year, the goal was number 1, obviously with the COVID, get through the season. Number 2, prove people wrong.
Right.
And I think this win last night proves to people that we can play with some of the better teams.
Yeah.
It proves to the girls that they can play with the better teams like that. And, I think it just makes a confidence booster in them, especially at this time of the year, that's 2 weeks ago. Yeah,
probably this win at this time of the year means almost more. Definitely means more for momentum, but probably means more than if you would have got it at the very beginning of the season, right? Perfect time for a win like this.
Right, and even it helps out with the power points. We're in a tight race in our region, and every win here on out is going to matter.
Well, so let's talk about the team a little bit. And earlier in the year, we talked about, Kennedy Andander has been with your program in the setter, a staple in the lineup for a while. We touched on newcomer Caitlin Schrader earlier, the 8th grade, doing some good things in the middle. I know Dannon Peterson is another one, been in your lineup. But talk about your veterans, and then also talk about some of the key pieces, because it's any team that's putting together a year like you guys is more than one player. So just talk about your squad, please.
Right. Obviously, Kennedy Andander, she's been our 4-year starter for us. She surpassed 1,000 assists last year. She's closing in on 2,000. I believe she's 19 off after last night, so that's come up here rather quick. And then she also surpassed 1,000 digs. So she's been one heck of a player for us. Really controls the offense a lot. Knows where to read read the defense and get our hitters in the best possible spot to score. And then, like you said, Caitlin Schrader, she's an 8th grader. Just a good all-around player. She's a coachable kid. She plays middle hitter for us when she's in the front row, and then when she's in the back row, she's played middle back. She's getting better every game out. Just as far as reading the offense of the other team, making adjustments that way. Try to switch up her shot so she can basically get every point possible, and again, like I said, just a very coachable kid. And then you have one person I always think gets overlooked is Dana Peterson. Mm-hmm. She's our lefty right side. The last couple of years, she's been playing through some hip injuries, and this year she's 100% healthy, and it's fun to see her be 100% healthy. She plays all the way around for us. She takes a lot of pride in her blocking, along with Ashley Massett. She's our other middle, and I tell you what, though, when I need a block in the game or have to kind of take care of a good hitter on the other team, I kind of look at those two to put the block up, and they really take pride in their blocking. And then obviously with her hitting on the right side like that as a lefty, she does an outstanding job there. And then like I touched on Ashley Massett in the middle, a tall 6-foot middle, just great to have for blocking and offensive purposes, and just been a good leader here this last couple of years. And then our outsides, we have Cassidy Johnson, senior outside. She's really improved her game from last year, really hitting the ball consistently. And then Madison Hofer, again, she kind of gets overlooked at times too. She's my junior outside. And again, she doesn't hit hard, but she finds the open spot to get the kill. And just she's consistent, and that's what you need. And then we can't overlook our libero, Katie Ratchen. She's been improving every game out here, getting better with her passes, and so that's the main thing. So it's nice to have a well-rounded team where we can go to anybody when we need to score.
That's awesome. Yeah, and as I look up and down your lineup, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 seniors for a Class B school. That's probably a little higher than average. So you have strong senior classes, a group that kind of has grown together. Is it a group effort leadership-wise? Is there a vocal leader? Are you guys lead by example? Talk about the personality of the team.
I think it's just, all 6 seniors. I don't think really one leads more than the other, but I think all 6 seniors are, they got that in their mindset that, hey, this is our last year. We know we can do what we need to do. We can hopefully our goal is to make the state tournament. And like I said earlier, they were disappointed last year with how the season ended. We thought we'd get farther than where we were. And so they have something to prove this year. And I think every time they step out of the court, they try to prove people wrong, and saying, we can play with the best of them.
Right. Well, and I know looking at the rest of your schedule, I know one of your couple losses on the season was against Warner. You will see them again before the end of the year. Your schedule, some quality matches. Talk about the identity of this team. Is it a defensive-minded team? Are you an attacking team? What's the strength? What are some areas you're still wanting the girls to work at?
Well, obviously we got hitters. I tell the girls we have 5 good hitters on our team all the time. They can hit the ball. We can go to anybody anytime we need a hit. The biggest thing our problem's been here early on is the passing. We haven't been able to be consistent with the pass. Last night against Ipswich, I felt like we were consistent with the pass. We got a lot of good setups, and our thought is, serving wise too. We only missed 2 serves last night.
Yeah,
we like to be aggressive with the serve. Get our pass when we're receiving, good pass to our center, and then attack the ball. And then, like I touched on, with Dannon and Ashley, with defensive wise, they just love blocking, and they get upset when they can't get a block, or even get a touch of the ball. So they're I think maybe it's a little combination of both there. But obviously we always hit on, we want to be the first to work off their serve, make a good pass, get a hit. And that type of thing, and I think we're still working on trying to find the open spots, instead of just going out and swinging away. We're still trying to find the open spot in the floor and trying to score that way, because we get against the Warner, we see that we just can't keep hitting away. We got to find the open spot and try to at least get them out of the system.
And what is the key? Because we talk and there's so many talented teams. up in that area. What is the key for this team getting to that state tournament? We've kind of asked coaches the last couple of weeks, what do you need to get done these last 2 weeks of the regular season, and where do you need to go heading into regions? What do you need to be doing better and work on?
I think number one is minimizing errors, whether it's a serving error, hitting error, passing or whatever. We have to minimize errors. I know last night against Ipswich, when we started out, we were not hitting well. We were hitting the ball at the back end. Our hitters then adjusted and started not as many errors throughout the night. And I think that's going to be the biggest key, especially when you get two teams that are very similar to us last night, Ipswich and us. It's going to be the team that makes less errors, ultimately. And so I think going into postseason, that's going to be the biggest thing. We have to minimize errors. We have to play great defense, great passing, and just bring it all together at this time of the year.
Yep. We ask every coach, and I've stated a few times, Haley breaks down more of the X's and O's and understands the scheme and those things. I watch body language, I watch attitude, I watch on the court, those nonverbal things. How is this group when a mistake happens, when an error happens, when you don't get a good pass, when you swing away and you sail one out of bounds? Are they quick to recover? Is that something that's a strength of this team? Is it something you still need to work on? Where are they at from the mental edge? Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's a work in progress, I want to say. We got some that are really good. They're going to let it go. And then there's some that do get down on themselves, and I think, like you touched on, mentally, we got to be tougher, and I've talked to my team about that, and I think it's coming along.
Right.
Like last night, I think set 2, we didn't lead the whole set until right at the end. I think we were ahead 25-24. So, that's nice that we can pull something like that out, that we just don't roll over and, throw the towel and say, they got set 2. We're going to go on to set 3 and see if we can get the next one, But we kept fighting last night. And I think it's coming. Like I said, it's a work in progress. As seniors, that they have leadership. And I tell, like Caitlin Schrader, for example, she's hard on herself. She wants to be perfect, and there's no such thing as a perfect volleyball player. We're all going to make mistakes. And you can just tell when she makes a mistake, she holds herself to it, and she's tough on herself. And I think that's something, mentally, I think she's going to get stronger, obviously, as she gets older.
Right.
But, as a team, it's a work in progress. We just got to get tougher mentally, especially down the stretch here.
Close team. Guessing with a group of 6 seniors that kind of gone through it. You talked about them talking about their last go round, but how including some of the underclassmen they're playing. Is it a tight knit team? Do they enjoy playing together? Attitude wise, things are they close that way?
Oh yeah, I think so. Every day in practice we come in, they work hard. You never know how bringing an 8th grader into basically a lineup of juniors and senior, how that's going to go, and they welcome her with open arms. And they're so good, especially early on when we started out practice this year. My seniors and even some of my juniors are so good with the younger girls, helping them along, making them, showing them how to do things the right way. And that's what you need for a good program to do, having those upperclassmen help those younger classmen out. And, like I said, every day they come in, they're ready to work. They work hard. I keep telling them, we're never satisfied with how we're playing. We want to get better every day, because our ultimate goal is to be a Huron here in November. Right.
Yep, absolutely. And let's talk about that as we go forward. You're going to have another match with Warner coming up. When you look at that, because the girls know, how the tradition of that, but an Ipswich team that played with Warner earlier, 2 before. When you look at that match, how do you get better, whether it's a win or a loss? What do you go into that the second time looking to improve on as you take on Warner here in a week or so?
Well, like you said, we played them here a couple weeks ago, and we were not happy with the way we played. When we went up there, we just did not play well on all facets, whether it was the passing, the hitting, the serving, and serve receiving. So I think this next time go around, number one, we want to play better. Just, make a better appearance. Whether we win or lose, that's beside the point. But we want to play tough. We want to, keep it competitive, I guess, at that point. And then hopefully it's going to show us what we need to work on. If there's anything we have to work on, anything we have to identify, we have to work on before postseason rolls around.
Right. Yeah, it'll definitely be a nice measuring stick. Because I think it's your second to last regular season match, and then so yeah, right before postseason. But let me ask you this: is there a go-to? Is there a go-to on the team? Are there several weapons? If things get tight, it's a Sodak 16. Are you going to one hitter? Do you feel that you have 3 or 4 that you can use? Where's the team at? That way if it gets into crunch time.
Right. I think, we feel comfortable with 3 or 4 hitters, obviously Schrader, Massett, and Dana Peterson on that right side. Then we got Cassidy Johnson, and we've all been, I think every player has been in a big spot this year at some time, whether it's been in a set or a match, like, for example, Schrader last night hit one that would have probably sealed the deal and they called it out, then she went up and swung again and finished Ipswich off in that third set. So we're not afraid to go to anybody. Obviously we have some set plays that we can use if the time comes. We haven't really shown too many people yet, but we're comfortable with going about with any hitter in the front row.
Awesome. Well, Jordan, not to date us and let anybody know our age, but how many years have you been the head coach now at Hitchcock Tulare?
This is my 15th year.
Oh my goodness, buddy. I tell you what, definitely one of the good people and what's right about high school coaches, what you've done for the Coaches Association, been involved with that every year. We've done with that program and consistency and building it and being there. We in the office appreciate you guys, and it's been fun to watch your results. I know you have bigger goals, but congratulations on last night's big win. Hopefully you can keep the momentum. And buddy, we hope that you guys are in Huron in a few weeks as well. So good luck to the girls, and stay healthy, and hopefully we're talking to you more in a couple weeks, okay?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me on. And like I said, it's nice to get some recognition here. Everybody kind of overlooks us a little bit.
Yep.
But it's nice to get some recognition for a change.
Are you sure? No, because the more of these you keep winning, then you got to deal with all these 20-minute interviews like this, and it takes away from you breaking down Twins baseball. So, are you sure? I mean, are you getting? I see that they were talking about you at Aberdeen. Did an interview a couple weeks ago. You're kind of getting to be the media star now, bud.
Yeah, I know. I did an interview a couple weeks ago.
That's good.
I kind of like talking, so.
I do too. You know this, but no, you keep proving us wrong, proving everybody wrong, and eventually we all wake up, right, and start following you. And would love to see you in Huron, hopefully in a couple weeks. But just congratulations to girls. I know you got a great senior class and a great program, and we'll put this out, and even more people are going to know about the Patriots here come tomorrow morning. But thanks for being on Coffee with the Coaches, and best of luck. Okay, buddy.
Thank you.